Hello everyone, we are Group 26. I'm Jin Chunwang. The topic of our group speech today is analyzing Trump's trade policies, USD's role, and global market reactions. Now I will introduce the first part. On April 2nd, 2025, Trump announced the Liberation Day, imposing tariffs on nearly all countries except China. This caused a dramatic drop in global stock markets, with the Dow losing 4,000 points in 48 hours, the largest single-day drop in history, wiping out billions in market. However, on April 9, Trump announced a 19-day suspension of these tariffs, excluding China. This decision brought temporary calm to global markets, but uncertainty about the long-term effects of this policy was still known. The question remains, will Trump restore these tariffs after the 19-day period? And if so, how will that affect the global economy? Trump's policy shifts from free trade to protectionism, aiming to address unfair trade, especially with China. Faced with trade deficits and job losses, he imposes tariffs to protect U.S. industries, reduce national debt, and rebalance global trade. This policy contradicts free trade principles, which promote removing trade barriers for global integration. Trump's protectionism through tariffs seeks to shield U.S. industries but may trigger a global trade war, increasing stability and potentially weakening the US dollar's reserve currency status. In concluding, Trump's reciprocal tariff policy poses significant challenges to global economy. While it may benefit the US in the short term, it raises the risk of the trade tensions, a global downturn, and impact the US dollar stability. The policy of long-term effect on global markets require close monitoring. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Econ and I'm studying economics. I'm going to present the global dominance of the US dollar and its profound impact on both global economics and American political power. First, let's start with its historical background. Since the Bretton Woods Agreement in 1944, the US dollar has been the world's dominant currency. This agreement established the dollar as the global reserve currency, backed by gold. However, in 1971, the Nixon shock ended the gold standard, decoupling the dollar from gold. Despite this, the US dollar remained strong due to the global trust in American economy. Next, we have the concept of the seigniorage. This is essentially the profit the US government makes by issuing its currency. Since the US dollar is in high demand globally, the US can borrow money at lower interest rates and finance its economic activities with minimal inflation risks. This allows the US to maintain significant trade deficits without facing severe economic consequences. Moving on, the US national debt and trade deficit are important to understand. The US has been able to sustain high levels of debt and trade deficits mainly because of the global demand for the dollar. International investors continue to buy US bonds, which helps fund American consumption and investment. Finally, the US dollar also serves as a powerful political tool. Its dominance enables the US to impose economic sanctions and influence international trade policies. Its control over global transactions gives the US a unique advantage in shaping geopolitical outcomes. To conclude, the US dollar is far more than just a currency. It is a tool of both economic power and the political influence that extends far beyond American borders, reinforcing the United States' position on the global stage. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Yin Xixiang. Today I will compare Trump's tariff policy with Nixon's 1971 decision to abandon the gold standard. While these two events are separated by decades, both aimed at reshaping America's hegemonic position by breaking international rules. However, their motives, methods, and outcomes differ greatly. First, motives and effects. Trump's tariffs were framed as a way to reduce the trade deficit, but his true goal was to dilute U.S. debt. However, from 2017 to 2020, U.S. national debt rose by $7 trillion, and tariff revenue barely made a dent in the deficit. This policy doesn't reduce debt, but acts as debt monetization. Second, comparing rule breakers. Nixon's abandonment of the gold standard shifted U.S. dominance to oil and military-backed dollars, securing global financial power. Trump's tariffs, however, lacked a coherent strategy, failing to rebuild supply chains or undermine the dollar. Instead, they pushed countries towards de-dollarization. Third, the win-alone fallacy. Trump's America First policy is a delusion of unilateral dominance. While the US once controlled 30% of global GDP, today it holds only 24%, and global power is shifting. Trump's tariffs risk strategic isolation, not US dominance. In the end, Trump's tariffs lack the strategic depth of the Nixon's gold standard exit and may lead to greater isolation for the US. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Yunfei Zhou, and I'm majoring in economics. Firstly, I want to talk about topic 1, what might happen during 90 days traffic pause. During the pause, global markets will likely stay calm for a short time. Investors may see this as a chance to relax and move money into safer places like gold and US government bonds. However, people are still unsure about what the US will do next. This uncertainty could hurt business confidence. Companies might stop or delay new investments. Countries that rely on trade with the US may start changing their long-term plans. Some might try to build stronger trade links with nearby nations instead. The past doesn't really solve the problem. It just gives more time before the real impact begins. Next to topic 2. Will policy resumption cause a financial crisis? If the traffic policy returns after 90 days, market may face another big shock. Global supply chains already weakened by COVID could break down more, causing price to rise. Developing countries might see money flow out, more debt problems, and weaker currencies. Other countries may respond with their own traffics, making global trade even more divided. This would increase the chance of a recession. The financial sector could also be affected, with banks facing stress and stock markets falling, similar to the 2008 crisis, though caused by different reasons. Now, moving to topic 3. Could this spark a USD crisis or a new Great Depression? The global money system is already fragile. Since 1961, the US has enjoyed power because the dollar is used around the world. But with over $36 trillion in national debt and a growing budget deficit, trust in the dollar is falling. If more countries stop using the dollar for trade, it could lead to a dollar crisis. If this happens together with trade problems and slow growth, the world could face a new Great Depression. Without global cooperation, Trump's traffic strategy might help the US in the short time, but it could be bringing serious problems in the future.
Hello, my name is Tianxun Cao. This is part 5, conclusion and thinking. In short, Trump tariff policy, though temporarily posed, risk destabilizing the global economy and weakening the USD. While the US dollar has dominated globally, this policy lacks strategy and could isolate the US. Resuming tariffs may threaten global stability and the USD power. Since 1944, the US dollar has been the dominant global currency, benefiting from its senior-rate privilege, allowing the US to carry high debt with little consequence. However, with the growing US national debt and the ongoing budget deficits, Trump tariffs reflect an attempt to reduce debt using the dollar's power. While this might provide short-term relief, long-term skepticism about the dollar could rise. The risk of de-dollarization are growing, as many countries seek alternatives to the US dollar. If this trend accelerates, it could destabilize global financial systems and increase uncertainty in international trade and capital flows. For the US, it would mean losing financial leverage, higher borrowing costs, and greater economic pressure. In conclusion, the US dollars generally depend on global reliance. If de-dollarization accelerates, the US could lose influence, leading to a shift in the global economy. This is all of our work. Thank you for listening.